During the early 1900s, there was a fruit tree so productive that American cities passed laws making it illegal to plant. Not because it was dangerous, not because it was invasive, because it produced so much free food that city officials called it a nuisance, because fallen fruit stained sidewalks, because birds ate the berries and left purple droppings on cars, because the tree gave away for free what grocery stores wanted to sell. Families who grew this tree never bought fruit again. A single mature specimen produced 200 to 300 pounds of berries every summer. The fruit was sweeter than grapes, ripened over 2 months instead of 2 weeks, and required absolutely no spraying, no pruning, and no care whatsoever. The tree survived winters that killed peaches. It survived droughts that killed apples. It survived neglect that would have destroyed any commercial orchard. And it was systematically erased from American yards. For over a century, nurseries refused to sell it. Cities banned planting it. Agricultural extension services never mentioned it. The most productive fruit tree that grows in North America was treated like a weed. Today, the fruit industry generates $30 billion annually selling produce that requires constant spraying, careful storage, and expensive transportation. A tree that produces sweeter fruit with zero inputs is not a competitor. It's an existential threat. But the truth can't stay buried forever. In this video, we're uncovering the complete story of the mulberry tree, the fruit that fed civilizations for 5,000 years, the tree that American cities tried to outlaw, and the backyard secret that still produces more free food than anything you can plant. By the end, you'll understand why the most generous fruit tree on earth was called a nuisance. And you will know exactly how to grow unlimited free fruit that requires nothing but a place to stand. Number 1, the tree that feeds itself. Mulberry trees require nothing. No spraying, no fertilizing, no pruning, no irrigation, no winter protection, no pest management, no disease control, nothing. You plant it, you walk away. It produces hundreds of pounds of fruit every year for the rest of your life. Then it keeps producing for your children, then your grandchildren, then their grandchildren. A mulberry tree can live and produce for 300 years. This is not an exaggeration. Mulberry trees planted in colonial America are still producing fruit today. Trees documented in European monasteries from the 1400s are still bearing. The tree outlives the families who plant it by centuries. No other fruit tree combines this lifespan with this level of productivity while requiring this little care. Apple trees need spraying 10 to 15 times per season, or pests destroy the crop. Peach trees need fungicide applications, or brown rot eliminates harvest. Grapevines need constant management, or disease takes over. Mulberries need nothing. The tree has no significant pest problems in North America. The leaves are naturally pest resistant. The fruit forms, ripens, and falls without any human intervention whatsoever. Commercial fruit production requires thousands of dollars per acre annually in sprays, fertilizers, and labor. Mulberry production requires a $20 tree and patience. The fruit industry cannot compete with free. So they made sure you never learned this tree existed. Number 2, the sweetness that shocked scientists. Mulberries are sweeter than almost any fruit commonly grown. The sugar content of a ripe mulberry reaches 20 to 22%. Compare that to grapes at 16%. Compare it to strawberries at 8%. Compare it to blueberries at 10%. Mulberries are sweeter than grapes by 25 to 30%. They're nearly 3 times sweeter than strawberries. But the sweetness tells only part of the story. The flavor profile is complex in ways most fruits cannot match. Depending on variety, mulberries taste like a combination of blackberries, raspberries, and grapes with honey undertones. Some varieties add notes of vanilla or wine. Fresh mulberries are so flavorful that people eating them for the first time often ask what's been added. Nothing has been added. That's just what fruit tastes like when it's bred for flavor instead of shipping durability. Commercial fruit is bred to survive transportation. Thick skins, firm flesh, harvested unripe. Flavor is sacrificed for logistics. Mulberries cannot be shipped. They're too soft. They're too delicate. They must be eaten fresh within days of harvest. This is why the fruit industry hates mulberries. You cannot build a supply chain around a fruit that doesn't ship. You cannot charge premium prices for something that must be grown locally. You cannot create dependent customers when anyone can grow their own. The fruit is too good, too productive, and too easy for corporations to control. So they buried it. Number 3, the 2-month harvest window. Most fruit trees produce for 2 to 3 weeks. You get a glut, then nothing for another year. Mulberries produce continuously for 6 to 8 weeks. A single tree begins ripening fruit in late spring and continues dropping berries until midsummer. Every day for 2 months, fresh fruit falls from the tree. Not a single overwhelming harvest. A continuous supply that matches how families actually consume food. The extended harvest means no processing pressure. You don't need to count 200 pounds in a weekend. You eat fresh berries daily for 2 months. You freeze some each week. You share with neighbors. The harvest distributes itself. Some growers extend the season further by planting early, mid, and late ripening varieties. With 3 trees, fresh mulberries are available from May through August. 4 months of continuous harvest from 3 trees. Compare that to peaches. A peach tree produces for 2 weeks. Miss the window and fruit rots on the ground. The harvest demands immediate attention, or it's lost entirely. Mulberries forgive everything. Miss a day of harvest and birds eat the fallen fruit. Miss a week and the tree keeps dropping more. The production continues regardless of whether you're paying attention. This is fruit production designed for real human life, not commercial agriculture schedules. Number 4, the cold that cannot kill it. Mulberry trees survive winters that destroy most fruit production. White mulberries, Morus alba, survive temperatures to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Some Russian varieties handle negative 40. The tree laughs at winters that kill peaches, damage apples, and eliminate tender fruit entirely. This cold hardiness extends fruit production into regions where commercial orchards cannot operate. In Minnesota, where winter kills most fruit trees, mulberries thrive. In Montana, where growing seasons are short and winters brutal, mulberries produce abundantly. In Canada, where fruit options are severely limited, mulberries offer reliable harvest. The tree achieves this hardiness through deep dormancy. While other fruit trees begin waking at the first warm spell, mulberries wait. They're the last trees to leaf out in spring, avoiding the late freezes that kill early blooming fruit. This late leafing was considered a flaw by commercial nurseries. Mulberries look dead while other trees are flowering. Customers thought something was wrong. But the late leafing is the adaptation that enables guaranteed production. And while peach blossoms freeze in April cold snaps, mulberry buds haven't emerged yet. While apple harvests are lost to late frost, mulberries are still dormant and protected. The tree that looks slowest in spring is the tree that produces most reliably every single year. Number 5, the ancient history they erased. Mulberries have fed humans for over 5,000 years. Chinese civilization cultivated mulberries before recorded history began. The tree was sacred, feeding both people and the silkworms that created Chinese wealth. Emperors controlled mulberry cultivation as state economic policy. The Silk Road was named for silk, but silk required mulberries. Every pound of silk demanded pounds of mulberry leaves to feed the silkworms. The mulberry tree was the foundation of the ancient world's most valuable trade route. Persian gardens featured mulberries prominently. The fruit was considered medicinal as well as delicious. Dried mulberries were traded as valuable commodities across the Middle East. Greek and Roman cultures prized mulberries. The trees were planted throughout the Mediterranean. Roman soldiers carried dried mulberries as travel rations. The fruit was mentioned by Pliny, Ovid, and other classical writers. When European colonists arrived in America, they brought mulberry trees. The British Crown mandated mulberry planting in Virginia, hoping to establish a silk industry. Every colonial household was encouraged to grow mulberries. The silk industry failed, but the trees thrived. For 300 years, mulberries grew across America. They were standard yard trees, valued for shade, fruit, and bird attraction. They required nothing and gave abundantly. Then the 20th century arrived, and everything changed. Number 6, the war against the tree. Beginning in the early 1900s, cities across America began banning mulberry trees. The official reasons were complaints about mess. Fallen berries stained sidewalks purple. Birds eating the fruit left droppings on cars. The abundant production was labeled a nuisance, but the timing reveals deeper motivations. The same decades that saw mulberry bans saw the rise of commercial fruit production in California. The same years that criminalized backyard fruit trees saw the expansion of grocery store produce sections. The same era that called mulberries a nuisance saw increasing promotion of purchased fruit as modern and convenient. City after city passed ordinances prohibiting new mulberry plantings. Some cities required removal of existing trees. Nurseries stopped carrying mulberries entirely, claiming lack of demand. The variety most commonly banned was the fruiting mulberry. Fruitless mulberry varieties, which produced no food at all, remained legal and were actively promoted as street trees. Let that fact land. Trees that produced free food were banned. Trees that produced nothing were encouraged. The ordinances were written to sound like public health measures. They were actually agricultural policy that eliminated competition for commercial growers. A generation grew up believing mulberries were trash trees. Their children never learned the trees existed. Within 50 years, the most productive fruit tree in North America vanished from public knowledge. Number 7, the nutrition they don't advertise. Mulberries are nutritional powerhouses that rival any superfood marketed today. The berries contain high levels of vitamin C, vitamin K, iron, and potassium. They're rich in antioxidants, particularly resveratrol, the compound that made red wine famous for heart health. Mulberries contain more resveratrol than grapes. The anthocyanins that create the purple color are powerful antioxidants linked to reduced inflammation, improved brain function, and lower cancer risk. The fiber content supports digestive health and blood sugar regulation. Studies have examined mulberry compounds for blood sugar management. Research suggests mulberry leaf extract may help regulate glucose metabolism. Diabetic patients in some countries use mulberry supplements as part of blood sugar management protocols. The leaves themselves are edible when young and tender. They've been consumed as vegetables in Asian cuisines for centuries. The leaves can be dried and made into tea with its own health benefits. Every part of the mulberry tree provides food or medicine: the fruit, the leaves. Even the bark has been used in traditional medicine. The supplement industry generates billions selling antioxidant pills, resveratrol capsules, and superfood powders. A single mulberry tree provides all of these compounds fresh, in whole food form, for free. You cannot patent a tree. You cannot bottle what falls free from branches. You cannot build a supplement empire around a plant anyone can grow. So they made sure you never knew what mulberries contain. Number 8, the livestock secret. Mulberries don't just feed humans, they feed livestock better than almost any other tree crop. Mulberry leaves contain 15 to 28% protein, depending on variety and growing conditions. This rivals alfalfa, the standard protein source for livestock. But mulberry leaves grow on trees that need no cultivation, no irrigation, and no replanting. In tropical countries, mulberry is a primary livestock feed. Goats, rabbits, pigs, chickens, and cattle all thrive on mulberry leaves and branches. Studies show dairy cattle fed mulberry silage produce more milk than cattle fed conventional silage. Weight gain in beef cattle improves. Feed conversion efficiency increases. The fruit is equally valuable for livestock. Fallen berries that humans don't harvest become pig feed, chicken feed, or wildlife support. Nothing is wasted. The feed industry generates $500 billion annually selling processed feed made from crops that require cultivation, fertilization, spraying, and harvesting. A mulberry tree produces feed that falls from the sky at zero cost. Traditional farms understood this integration. Mulberry trees were planted in pastures deliberately. Livestock ate fallen fruit and browsed leaves within reach. The trees required nothing and provided protein that would otherwise be purchased. Modern agriculture separates crops and livestock. Trees are removed from pastures. Feed is purchased from distant suppliers. Farmers become dependent customers instead of independent producers. The mulberry system threatened this dependency. Independent farmers are bad customers. Number 9, the varieties they don't sell. Hundreds of mulberry varieties exist. Nurseries sell almost none of them. Illinois. Everbearing produces fruit over an extended season with complex wine-like flavor. Oscar produces enormous berries up to 2 inches long. Pakistan mulberry creates fruit with intense sweetness and tropical undertones. Shangri-La produces white mulberries with honey sweetness and no staining. Sweet lavender produces pale berries with unique floral notes. Girardi dwarf stays small enough for containers while producing full-sized crops. These varieties were developed over centuries by growers who understood the tree's potential. They were selected for flavor, productivity, disease resistance, and climate adaptation. Commercial nurseries carry none of them. Instead, nurseries stock fruitless mulberries, male trees that produce no berries. Trees specifically bred to eliminate the food production that made mulberries valuable. When asked why fruiting varieties aren't available, nurseries cite lack of demand. But demand cannot exist for products people don't know about. You cannot demand a variety you've never heard of. The nursery industry makes more money selling trees that require replacement, trees that need companion trees for pollination, trees that require annual inputs. A mulberry that lives 300 years producing 200 pounds of fruit annually with zero care is terrible for repeat business. Specialty nurseries carry fruiting varieties for those who know to seek them, but mainstream garden centers ensure most people never encounter the option. These weren't just fruit trees. They were independence machines developed over 5,000 years by people who understood that free food meant freedom. No grocery store controlling supply, no corporation controlling price, no transportation system required. Just a tree that produces forever without asking for anything in return. And here's what the fruit industry doesn't want you to understand. This tree isn't outdated, it's superior. A properly planted mulberry keeps producing when supply chains fail. A family dependent on grocery stores goes hungry the moment trucks stop running. Our great-grandparents could eat regardless of economic conditions. We can eat only until the next delivery. Modern homeowners forgot this tree because forgetting made corporations money. Every mulberry not planted is fruit purchased. Every banned tree is a dependent customer created. The industry profits from your inability to feed yourself. For over a century, they've been winning. Backyard food production has collapsed. Fruit purchases have increased every decade. Dependence on commercial supply chains has become total. But knowledge can't be killed forever. The trees still exist. The cuttings still root. The fruit still tastes sweeter than anything you can buy. And a 300-year-old tree still produces for whoever stands beneath it. The next time supply chains fail, 2 kinds of families will exist. Those with empty fruit bowls waiting for stores to reopen. And those harvesting berries from trees that never needed anyone's permission to produce. If this knowledge matters to you, subscribe now. Share this with everyone still buying fruit they could grow for free. Because the tree your great-grandmother knew is still the tree that works. I'll see you in the next video.